Hello again. Can't believe it. I've bought a non-BMW car. I've still got the E30 and I still love the E30 and I've just put new seats and harnesses in it, so it's all ready to go. But this turned up. I've known the car for quite a while. I've always liked an escort and it's just something I've always wanted, so I thought I'd give it a go, see how we get on. But obviously getting another car, there's quite a few things that I need to do to it before I can use it. And I've got a rally coming up in 2 weeks. So there's bits and pieces, and to make it more comfortable for me, I wasn't happy with the seating position. There's a bit of an issue with the engine isolator, and it just needs a bit of a once over. So I need to find out what goes where, just so if there is a problem, I know where to fix it. This is just about me going through it, fixing a few bits. I'll fit a flat shift and just get used to it really. So I hope you enjoy. Right, the problem I've got is my feet were too high to get on. When I was doing a brake, my foot was, it was almost my heel on the pedal. It was way too high. So there was a false floor underneath, which I've taken off, which has brought your feet down, which is, I've got my ball of the foot on the pedals now. The throttle pedal's a bit high still, but that's much better than it was. And the other problem, it's got such a small steering wheel on, because with the electric power steering, the brackets made the steering wheel too low. It's awkward getting in and out, and when you're turning, your hand gets stuck between your leg and the steering wheel, which I'm not very comfortable with. So what I've done, I've taken it all apart. I've cut the bracket, so this way I can put the bracket underneath the column where it bolts on, and then raise it up quite a bit. So I'll do that and see how that works. Right, that's all bolted up, and it has moved up quite a bit actually. In fact, if I wanted to, I could put spacers between the bracket and the motor, and there is 5mm. I could still go up higher, which would probably translate to 10mm up here. But that feels all right. And I think because my legs are a bit lower down, with the false floor being out, because they're up a couple of inches higher before, yeah, I don't think I'll be having the problems with my knees. One issue I had was the indicators, where they were bolted, there wasn't enough room behind them to get the cable in because of the bracket. So what I've done is I've drilled holes further back, which will bring the indicators further forward now, which is good because there is quite a gap between the steering wheel and the stalks anyway. So putting it all back together now. Alright, that's it all back together again now. There's quite a bit of room now between the steering wheel. In fact, I don't think I want the steering wheel any higher. That's quite a good position there. And it will actually slide side to side. There's a bit of movement on it, so you can sort of line it up. It is slightly offset still. There's a few more problems I've got to get to the bottom of before I do the rally. That's the main power on. It's a bit annoying that, but that's the oil pressure buzzer light and the fuel pump going. But when you press that to turn it off, it doesn't actually turn it off. So there's a key up there which stops the fuel pump, so it eventually turns off. But that's a bit of a risk, that, so I need to sort that out. I'm pretty sure there's a power feed to the ECU that's going to the wrong place, so I'll have a look at that. This gear stick has got big gaps all around it, which is a big no-no. I mean, if there was a fire, it would cause problems, so I've got to sort that out. I'll put something down there. That needs doing. The extinguishers have been serviced, but I don't know how you test them. I don't know what you do. I don't know how you prime them or arm them, or I don't know. I don't want to press anything. I know that sets them off, but I don't want to press anything just in case it goes off, which wouldn't be good. There's, now I've taken the false floor out, there's a bit of a mess down the corner, so I need to tidy that up a bit. And there is, you can see where it's got a bit of a split, so I need to sort that out. This is, you know, I just want to do a couple of rallies and see how I get on with it. And I know what will happen, you'll end up having a full restoration. Before you know it, it'll be in bits. Now the false floor's up, I need a bit of rubber matting down there just to get some grip for my heels. I need something for my clutch foot to rest against. I need a bracket on the side, otherwise, because I don't like resting my foot on the pedal, especially when it's a cable clutch. So I need to get that sorted out. And there's the boot springs that hold the boot shut, they've stretched really badly, so I need to order some of them. In fact, I'm going to order them now. I'm going to take it for a drive and see what it's like with the steering as it is, and the pedals, and see how much difference I can notice. Right, it's back in the car again. It's got a 60G sequential gearbox, which is, they're lovely boxes, really nice, and it's not got flat shift fitted. And the ECU, which under there, is an old Gems ECU, and no one's really quite sure about programming them, not locally anyway. So the coil pack, for some reason, was right up under the dashboard, and I've pulled it out, which was a nightmare. I had to get to it because, not knowing how the Gems ECU works, the flat shift, which is a Geartronics unit, runs, has to cut the ignition when you change gear. So it's a primitive way of doing it, but I'm going to go to the coil pack. The coil pack has a permanent feed to it, and it's the ECU sends earths to trigger it. So I had to get to it, and it was so hard to get to. And I thought, well, if a lead breaks down or something, it's going to take you probably an hour to get to it and change it. So I don't want the coil pack inside the car. So I'm going to move it into the engine bay. Right, how it worked before was all the HT leads used to go through this hole into the coil pack, which was behind the heater bowl. So what I've done now is I've brought the feed for the coil pack out through the hole. I'll have to put a big grommet in there and seal it. And I've just tested the connector, which has got 3 pins in it. So there'll be a positive and 2 switched earths from the ECU. So I was guessing the one on its own was going to be a positive, but I've just double checked with the multimeter. So that's the lead. I'll have to get the cable, find out which cable it is, intercept the feed and take it to the Geartronics unit, and then back to the feed again. So I can't go too far with this because the length of the HT leads. I was thinking maybe there, or possibly here. Stick it there. It's anywhere where it's not going to interfere with the bonnet or get too hot from the exhaust. Another thing I noticed on starting it up yesterday, lots of smoke was coming out the bonnet, but its cold start is so bad on it, you have to keep your foot on the throttle, or else it just stalls. So I couldn't get the bonnet up and have a look and see where the smoke was coming from, but there was quite a bit. But I can't see it breathing because the breather tube goes to a tank on the inner wing. So, and it was definitely coming up through the bonnet, the smoke. But I've just spoken to the guy I bought it off, and he said he used to do it with him as well. When he started it, there'd be a lot of smoke coming out of the bonnet. So I think I'll get the girlfriend to turn it over while I'm standing in the front with the light and see if I can see anything. I'm a bit concerned in case it is a cable on the starter or somewhere that's melting. So I just need to, I think I might get underneath it. The wiring on this car, I mean the loom's good, it's just the inside of the car. There's 3 ways of starting it, There's two starter buttons and a key. And it's just overcomplicated. I don't think it needs all that. I haven't got a clue what these are for. I think they're something to do with the headlights. I think they've gone now. That's what I mean. I've just got to go through it and see what goes where. And pull out what's not needed. Or maybe start again. It's an old car. It's coming up to 45 years old, I think. So the trouble is, the more you dig in, the more you're going to find. I mean, it's quite presentable. There's a few dings in it, but you know that I can get another wing, seeing as parts seem to be readily available and very reasonably priced as well, especially compared to the BMW bits. You seem to be paying the same price for a brand new wing for one of these as you would for a 40-year-old second-hand one for a BMW. Right, so I'm going to start wiring, putting a wire in to the coil, wasted spark coil pack connector. Right, one thing that is really annoying me about this car, apart from all the wiring loom, is when you turn the ignition on, the noise. And I think it's not that wire. That's interesting, because I've cut the earth to the horn, the buzzer, and it's still going, but I've noticed it's been riveted on for some reason, and oh dear, that doesn't look too good either. At least I can find out which is the feed from the right. It's really weird because that is definitely earth to the buzzer. The buzzer's there when your light comes on, the buzzer comes on just to let you know if there's no oil pressure, but there's a big orange light on the dash. This is handy, I suppose, if you once it's running and it's not beeping, that's good, but I'd rather have it on switch and put the switch on when it's started, because if I'm working on it, it's doing my head in. It's actually riveted to this aluminium board, which will be earthed, I would have thought. Ah, right. There's permanent live, which doesn't look good if it's permanent, because there should not be anything else coming off it. It should just be one feed, and then one feed going to the isolator box, wherever that is. I'll have to do some digging, work out what's what, see what goes where. Right, for the flat shift, I brought this back inside the car. If I cut this tube open, find the red wire, intercept it, bring it out, bring it to the Geartronics unit, and then join it back onto the feed that goes to the coil pack, and then I can pop this back out, and there's not more wires in the engine bay than that is needed. Right, that's all bolted on now, the coil pack. Just tidy the leads up. It clears the bonnet by quite a bit, which is quite handy. I've got to put some sealant in the additional holes there. Works out quite handy for the feed for the coil pack. And I've spliced in a cable inside the car to go to the flat shift. So let's remove those bolts. And I think, apart from checking to see if anything's not happy on the starter motor, and testing to see if the oils or the smoke still comes out, I think we're done under the bonnet for now. Right, at the moment, I just don't understand this wiring. we've got an ECU feed, which I presume is an ECU feed, and it just goes everywhere and ends up going back to, there's like a buzzboard under there, everything's joined to, but the positives are all exposed. There's like braided lines. Oh, yeah, really it needs stripping out and going through. I don't understand why there's so much wiring, and every wire I go to seems to go such a long way to get to where it's going. It just seems to be, I need 300 mil, I'll put 600 mil in, and the extinguisher's pointing upwards. It's supposed to be pointing at you. I don't understand it. It's and there's a buzzer that goes on if the oil pressure isn't high. So I cut the earth and it carried on going, but made a different noise. Must be earthing through the back plate. And then the indicators didn't work. And when I reconnected the earth, the indicators work again. And that's on the buzzer. It's just, well, I think I'll do what I need to do. I need to get the ECU feeds. It seems to be the ECU is still powered up when the ignition is off, which means I can't turn it off. It carries on running. So I think I know the ECU feeds. It starts off as 2 wires, and then it makes its way. There it is. Oh no, 3 wires, then it goes to 2 wires, and then it comes out here. Can't find it now. There's 1 wire. Oh, there it is. It goes into 1 wire, and then that wire goes to the buzz box, but it must be a permanent feed at the buzz box. Right, I'll try it on a different one, a switched feed. Right, this is the ECU here, and this is the feed wire to power the ECU. So it needs to go to a power supply here, but instead it goes, that's 3 wires, goes to 2. And then 2 wires go to 1. Oh my God, it's huge. You could put that in the boot. Right, so basically it needs to be fused and go to not the one it was going to. So this one is an ignition switched live. That one is a permanent live. So if I do it to this one, when the button's pressed, it should switch off, depending on where that one goes, probably all around the car and back to right next to it. Right, I'll try that. I'll stick it on there and see if that works. Okay. Right, that's the easy shifts connected up, earth, power, the barrel on the gearbox, and the coil cut. I've left everything long. These aren't needed. Left everything long just to check it all works and see it's all happy talking to each other, and then I'll trim it down and put everything back. I've just got to, that bit there, it should go green when I power it up. I'll have to get my headphones so, but let's get the key. Nothing. Apart from a lot of noise. Right, investigation. Right, I had it on my, I was on a file that was my BMW programming for the easy shift on that. So now when I turn it on, we're connected. So now I've just got to put in the gear position. I've got to turn that noise out. I've got to put in the gear positions. The duration, well, yeah, I've got to put the duration in. I have to work that out. It's 15% of the gap between these gears. It's not a load cell, so I've just got to go barrel position. Don't need any of these. Upload values from ECU, well, there shouldn't be anything on it. So what I need to do is sample gear positions. So I've got the car off the ground. I'm going to open the door, fire it up, and then I'll go through the gears, putting each one into the gear so it'll log which gear is in which position, so it'll know where everything is. So I think I'll do that, get that logged in there, and then hopefully it should all work. Right, it's yeah, that's the main isolator switch, this blue one, which is supposed to kill all the power. When the engine's running and the alternator's not charging, it shuts everything off. But once the alternator's charging, it backfeeds and nothing goes off. So you turn the key and it'll turn the fuel pumps off, and eventually it will stop, which is no good. You know, you can't get someone jumping inside to turn the key if the car's crashed. And right, so in here, I can't believe I came across it. There's a fuse there in that little black box, which just had a spade terminal coming out the end, nothing coming from it. What I had to do was, this isolator, I had to find out what type it was, Google it, and find a wiring diagram. And then I had to trace all the wires from that which is connected to this, which is connected to the extinguisher pulls and the extinguisher and the controller, and then it goes to in here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. There's a PDM, it's called, at the top. So that feeds the nav light, intercom, and lights inside the car. I'm not sure why it feeds them three, but yeah. And then on this back part, there's a thicker black wire that comes out that has lots of wires in it. And I found out there's a white wire that comes all the way along up, and it goes over the dash and it comes back again, and then that ends up there. So I can't start it now because we've got young kids and neighbours and whatever. So I'm going to put it all together again, sort the wiring out. I've got these things that I can put over the live ends in there, because they're just asking for trouble. That braided hose there, if that touches it, we didn't get a lot of sparks, and you know, it's just asking for trouble. But you know, saying that, this car has been running for a long time. Wonder what that's from. Find these things in there. Right, so fingers crossed that's going to work. I'm putting the Geartronics flat shift box under the dash. It's Velcro to the scuttle, and the wiring's in there. So I'm just going to neat it all up, get all the wiring back in, put the front back together again. I've just had a friend text me. I sent him a picture and he said it looks like a 7.5 amp fuse. He said that won't be enough. So I've got to double check that. Yeah, I'll pull it out and find out what size fuse I need. and get the right one in. All right, fingers crossed. Right, I've just nipped back from work. I think I was pretty confident it was all going to work, but it won't even start now. So I've put a multimeter on the one that goes from the engine isolator to feed the ECU. And the voltage seemed to be fluctuating as I was trying to start it. So I put a jump pack on the battery, just in case the battery was going a bit flat, but it didn't make any difference. So I put the ECU feed directly to the main power supply, and it was trying to start straight away. So I've checked, this is the cable that goes directly from the connector on the isolator box, which is for the ECU feed. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to use that as a trigger wire to trigger the relay to put power from the main buzz box to the ECU. So that way it won't need a full 12 volts to operate the relay, and I'll see if that starts. But it's starting to get on my nerves now. This is turning into a bit of a nightmare. It's something that should be so basic, and it's just either I'm doing something stupid or this wiring is not as it should be. Right, I'll give that a go. Right, that noise is the throttle clutch that stops it. It's just cut through. Moment of truth. You beauty. That has been an absolute nightmare. I don't know where I got up to in the last video, but what I've done is the feed from the Armtech ECU, not the Armtech ECU, it's not an Armtech, it's the isolator, electronic isolator. That supplies 0.5 of an amp, 12 volts, which I don't think is enough to power the ECU. I wouldn't have thought so. So I put it into a relay, so it's a switched live for the relay. So you've got permanent live coming in, and then this live going to the ECU and an earth. It's not staying like this. This was purely temporary, just to get it running, see if it would work okay. Now, it all works fine, which is good. What I must remember is not to keep turning off with this button. I've got to use the ignition key. That's quite important. It's I don't know why, but apparently that's what you should do. Yeah, so when I was trying to start it, there was off this feed going to the ECU. It wouldn't start, and then I put the feed direct to the positive terminal directly, and then it would start. And then I went back to here and I was fiddling about and I was testing the voltage, and we were getting 12 volts in and 2 volts out. So the relay was duffed. So I put another relay in, which was going down to 8 volts out, but 8 volts in when you're cranking. And I thought probably that's not enough to get the ECU going. So I put a jump pack on the battery, and it just would not start. So I thought, all right, I've flooded it now, haven't I? It's not the best to start in the cold anyway. So I had to go and get a new set of plugs. Took all the plugs out, let the air get in, got a new set of plugs. It fired up, which was great, but I didn't want to risk stopping it until I got it warm, because to get the alternator light to go off, you have to rev it over 4,000 revs. And what was happening before, when you press the kill switch, it was killing it because there was no alternator backfeeding the power to the car. So anyway, it's all working now, which is good. I've got to tidy all this up, but I'm not doing it now. I'm supposed to be at work. I only nipped back to take it for a test drive. I've been on it about 3 hours now. Hopefully, get that all in there, put the panel back on, that's it, done. Shouldn't have to worry about it. Fingers crossed. Yeah, we've got, how long? A week and 2 days before we're on the ferry to go to Bovington Rally, and I'm away in London this weekend from Thursday to Monday. So it's sort of, I'm glad this is done. I've got a few other things to do. I've just ordered some spare spark plugs in case this problem happens again. The car desperately needs a wash. The stickers need to come off it, but you know, if I don't have time, that doesn't matter. and I've got intercom issues because the intercom I got sent had the wrong end on it. These have got female ends on the intercom, and the helmet, no, the other way around. Helmet's got female ends. They sent me a headset with a male end, and they said you can't get ones with female ends. I don't understand these intercoms, because why can't they all be the same ends? It'd be much easier. And you get a little adapter, which is 80 quid. I can't see how it's so expensive. Anyway, I'm not going to start moaning, because I'm quite happy I've got it going. Right, I think we'll wrap this video up, because it's probably gone on quite long, and it's probably quite boring because it's me getting stuck into wiring. Right, see you next time.